Hey loves, it's your girl El Rochelle here with Hardwood Diva, and of course today is Thursday, December 16th, and I am bringing you my NFL Week 15 picks. Yay! Alright, as you can tell, my voice is almost completely back, so we are totally a go for the next few weeks as far as getting out the NFL picks, getting the NBA picks back up. Had a little bit of a setback this week, but voice is back. We are ready to go. So first up, we've got Thursday, which is tonight, and then we've got the San Francisco 49ers versus the San Diego Chargers. Now, of course, if you've been watching all season, you do realize that both of these teams are fighting right now for their respective divisions, NFC West for the 49ers and the AFC West for the Chargers. So this game is actually a pretty big game for both of them. Both are fighting for the first spot. The Chargers are only one game back behind the Kansas City Chiefs, so if they win tonight, they're going to be even with them, most likely. And, things are starting to go well, and even if they don't win the division, it does help them in possibly getting a wild card spot by finishing out the season like they usually finish out seasons and, just getting more wins than losses. So it's looking like that's probably going to happen. I think within the last 5 games, they're gonna probably end up 4-1 most likely. I think that even though the 49ers are doing much better this year, that they do have a much better chance of pulling this one off. Then next up, we have the New Orleans Saints versus, and these are going to be the Sunday games. Oh, and I'm picking the Chargers. Sorry, don't know if I said that. Now we've got our Sunday slate of games, and for those games, we have up first the New Orleans Saints versus the Baltimore Ravens. And with this game, even though Baltimore is a pretty good team, I do believe their defense was exposed last week. They're not as good as they have been. I mean, you have to admit that this team is a bit older than they have been, a bit older. They've been doing this. This defense has been a vaunted defense for the last 10 years. Sorry, there's a hair on my eye. It's really getting on my nerves. Vaunted defense for the last 10 years. And they pretty much have had those same players for the last 10 years. So you have to admit, this team is getting a little bit older. So they're kind of living off reputation, even though they do a good job, and they did win the game last week with a defensive stop. The fact that the team was up 21-0 and they let them come back, and it was even in overtime, it's probably not the greatest thing you want to see. New Orleans is, clicking on all cylinders right now. They can definitely get better, and I see them getting better. And, I think they started off, first of all, they didn't have Reggie Bush. Then, just all the championship stuff coming off of all that. It is kind of difficult to bring your team back, especially in a city like New Orleans that's never really had anything like this. So, I think they're starting to roll again. So I definitely see New Orleans being able to get this game. Then we've got Arizona versus Carolina. Neither of these teams is great, but I think Arizona did a very, very good job last week. If they can get Jay Feely to get 22 points again, I think they'll be fine. But I'm going with the Cardinals against Carolina. Cleveland and Cincinnati. Personally, Cleveland has a better record than Cincinnati does, but I think Cincinnati is the better team. I'm hoping to see the better team win out this one, so I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Washington and Dallas. Dallas definitely wants revenge for what happened in the first game of this year. They were embarrassed. This is definitely a different team. They're playing a lot harder. I'm seeing a lot more heart. I'm going with Dallas at home. Jacksonville and Indy. This is a battle for the AFC South. Now, Jacksonville has never won the AFC South. They're ahead right now. They beat Indy earlier this year in Jacksonville. And Indianapolis isn't doing too well. However, this is a home Indianapolis game. I find it very difficult to believe they're going to lose to Jacksonville at home. So, going with Indianapolis. Then we've got Buffalo and Miami. In Miami, Miami's actually doing a little bit better. If you look at my paper, you'd laugh because I have, Buffalo right now. And honestly, the more I talk about it, it could be Miami. I'll go with Buffalo. I like their team. They seem to, they don't really know how to fully win yet, but I see this team coming together and they're going to get it. So I'm going with Buffalo. There we have it. Philly and the Giants. You would see this is still blank. I have no idea who's going to win this game. Philadelphia got the Giants before. I think the Giants, on paper, have a very good team. I think it's technically a little bit better than Philadelphia's team. However, Eli Manning's not doing that great this year. And Mike Vick is. He's missing some wide receivers. Steve Smith is out. I'm going to have to go with Philly. I think Philly will get this one. Kansas City and St. Louis. Kansas City. Like St. Louis is doing pretty good, but Kansas City. Got to go with them. Detroit and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Houston and Tennessee. This is a nice little, coming back after the lovely Andre Johnson, Cortland Finnegan little fiasco we had a few weeks ago. And of course, Cortland Finnegan once again running his mouth. Can't wait for the rematch. Yeah, you'll get pummeled again, so you might want to shut your mouth. But I'm going to definitely have to go with Houston. Tennessee is not the greatest of teams right now, and Cortland Finnegan is not helping them, talking his trash. That team is definitely not on his side. Houston is not on his side. Houston is definitely on the side of Andre Johnson, and they will battle for their teammates. So I believe, sorry, Cortland, your team's going to lose. Houston will get this one. Atlanta and Seattle. Seattle does pretty well in their home stadium. However, Atlanta is the better team, way better team. So I'm going with Atlanta. Denver and Oakland. We saw what happened last time. And that was in Denver. This one's in Oakland. New York Jets and Pitt. These two teams, if you actually look at them, both offense and defense, where they rank in the league, they're actually fairly close. The Jets, unfortunately, are on a downward slide. They were doing really well. Pitt's on an upward slide. Let's see. Who shall I go with? I think if the Jets just let Mark Sanchez just throw, don't expect him to dink and, hand it off, and then the fourth quarter he has to save you. If you let him just kind of air it out earlier in the game, get a little more used to it, I think he'll be doing a lot better. Pittsburgh right now, you see Troy Polamalu is just on a rampage. I like the Jets, but I think Pittsburgh is going to get this one. Even though I still think that the Jets can definitely get their wild card position in the AFC. So I'm going with Pitt, though. Green Bay and New England. Green Bay probably is not going to have Aaron Rodgers. This is in New England. Even though Green Bay does play. I'm going to have to go with New England. Sorry, it's just what it is. I don't like New England, but I'm going to have to go with New England. They did very good, though, last week against Chicago. Did not expect that. It was crazy, and it was high scoring, and who thought that? Well, high scoring are there in. Monday night, we've got Chicago and Minnesota. Now, if you know anything about this right now, it's kind of a big deal because of the fact that Minnesota's, the tarp or whatever that thing is, Teflon, that is over their stadium, broke last week right before the Minnesota game. So they were trying to fix that. Clearly it's not going to work because another one failed last night and dumped more snow inside of the place. So they want to play in Minnesota at the University of Minnesota so their fans can see it. Now, let's not forget, there was just a blizzard there. So there's snow everywhere. They're trying to clean up all that snow. That's funny. They're trying to pay people to come out and clean up the snow. It's supposed to be really cold, 0 degrees and below, and negative 18. I mean, it's Minnesota, though. They should totally be used to it. I mean, they've only played inside for the last 25 years. Before that, they were playing outside. They should not be babies. And, if you go to a Minnesota game, you should totally expect to, be cold. That's what I think. It should be interesting, though. They're not sure if they're going to be able to clean that stadium out. There's supposedly another storm coming in, so it might dump more snow, so it might make it a little difficult. So, last week's game, which was moved to Detroit, this game could very well be moved. But as far as the teams in this one, Minnesota is not going to have Tavares. Brett's Favre hand is blue. Hey, if they play in Minnesota, everybody's hands might be blue. But they're going to probably have to go with Joe Webb. Chicago. And those are my picks, my friends. Bye. I love you.